Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Williams Return to Glory. In this episode, we are going to Silverstone and the Red Bull Ring. Looking at our pit crew screen, we have some new hires to go through, but we're just going to focus on doing some rotation. So we went through, we've swapped everyone out, and we've only hired one new person. We're still second. Alright, so looking at the mail, we have stuff about Russell's dominance. We got an interview with Sky Sports. Which one of our drivers is better? We're going to say Porsche. So for those interested, these are your Formula 2 results. We have Pelot winning his first race, Tandy in second. He is your current points leader. You got Pietro Fittipaldi in third. We're going to scroll through here, show you the rest of the results for this race. Championship-wise, Tandy's got a big lead. Giovinazzi's got a big lead over Vips. So you kind of have those front two kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack. Pelot kind of joins the fight, getting that 26 points into this race weekend. So maybe potentially we could see him coming up there and fighting for the championship. Looking at the teams, it is very close. We have a kind of a 3-horse race here with Trident, Van Amersfoort, and High Tech. Pretty much the rest of the field is close enough to each other. I think down from 3rd to 8th to where we can see some people kind of moving up and moving down. But I think there's a big enough gap to where we have these 3 at the back to where they're kind of by themselves, as I've said plenty of times before. At your Formula 3 results, we have Lucas Di Grassi winning his race there, going to the top of the board in the championships. We've had a very competitive Formula 3 season, 4 rounds in, maximum of 104 points, and we have a leader with only 55, so that's pretty cool to see. We're going to scroll through here, show you the rest of these results. We have, looking at the standings, we have Di Grassi and Van Doren kind of sitting level with each other, and then just a very, very close battle. Maybe not really that close between Pasma all the way down to Gunther. Gunther's got a decent gap, and then I think it's fairly spread out. But then we have pretty much everyone down here until 19th, which I think he's not in the series at the moment. But yeah, just a very, very close, kind of tight fight here from 6th all the way down to last in the standings. Looking at your teams, though, fairly convincing leader of Carlin at the moment on top. Still very close to each other here. I mean, from 6th to 9th to only have that 3-point spread between these constructors here is pretty amazing. Typically, we have a couple cars that are kind of stuck at the bottom with each other, or maybe just one that's kind of shown to be the worst team. But yeah, it's pretty cool and competitive to see for F3. Alright, so looking at our mail screen, we have a new political vote. This is for road tires. So these would be the cheapest tires, worst performance. I think I'm not going to vote on this. I don't think it's that typically, important. We're not hurting for money, as it says here. Low budgets, us and Red Bull, apparently. I'm going to just abstain, and I'm going to see if it goes through. We got 3 votes for, we got 5 against, and it is going to get rejected by 1 vote. Alright, so getting ready for Silverstone, we're going to leave with 1.4, regardless of what happens there. Tire selections, typical 15, 10, 10, too many tires. Part fitting, the exact same we had on the end of last episode. We just got the reliability up on the latest suspension that we just built. So we're going to move on to Silverstone. Alright, so getting ready for practice, we have Vettel in the car, Porsche. We're going to focus on the soft compounded tires. I've been debating on whether or not I want to put on the mediums, but hopefully we can at least get those with qualifying trim, but we're going to skip through practice and we will join you for qualifying. Alright, so following practice, we had Porsche in 8th, we had Vettel in 9th, and top of the board, as what has been the case for every single race this year, George Russell. Alright, so getting ready for qualifying, we have Porsche on qualifying level 2, we have sweeter spots level 1 on him. Sonoda is missing the sweeter spots because of his race engineer. Car setup wise, perfect whole way through here, 99%, 98% on Sonoda, but we're going to move on to the start of the session. Right, so riding on board here with Sonoda. He's going to be starting his second flying lap. We went 8th and 9th the first time around. Looks like Sonoda's down his middle sector. Pourchaire's up his middle. Pourchaire goes to 8th. Sonoda drops down to 9th. Alright, so getting ready for the British Grand Prix. We have an interesting situation ahead of us. It is dry at the beginning, and then it's going to get wet very quickly, maybe even before the end of the first lap. I'm going to bet on Sonoda being able to stay out for maybe 2 laps, and we can just have him go in a full push here. I really just want to try it. I could risk it with both drivers, but I want to just have kind of an egg in both baskets, because if we can get this to work with Sonoda and he's able to gain, 15, 16 seconds here, that could be just us on the podium, which we've, not seen yet. So that's just would be an incredible task for us to get. It's going to dry out in the middle. That looks like a perfect opportunity for us to put on the medium tires. You'd be able to make that, and then it's going to be intermediates at the end, but we're going to risk it here with Sonoda. Race trim, soft tires are perk. Setups are the same from qualifying. This is going to be the strategy off the line, and we're going to move on to the starting grid. Alright, so your starting grid for Silverstone is Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, Teo Pourchaire, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Lewis Hamilton, Robert Schwartzman, Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hulkenberg, Mick Schumacher, Guan Yu Zhou, Dennis Hauger, Oscar Piastri, and Lance Stroll. Alright, so we got the tire warning immediately for Tsunoda. We're going to jump on board here with him. Let's see what he can do. Hopefully we see it stays dry for a little bit. We already see weather on the radar here. He should be still pretty quick at the moment, but I don't like how slow he's going compared to the other cars around him. Need him to continue to gain here, but I don't think he's in the position to where he's going to be able to gain too much here. Alright, it looks like already it's already getting a little bit too wet for him here. So we're going to go on to 1 speed, and then we're going to have to pit him onto intermediates. So the risk did not work out. I think we're going to see what he does here last sector. Okay, he's down about 5/10. So we missed our window to pit him in. So we're going to have to pit him in this time. Went a little too hard on our risk there. We're going to fill him up on fuel. We're going to go safe on the pit stop. His tires are too hot too, so that's going to add to it as well. So he's going to come out probably last. So Pourchaire is starting to cook his tires a little bit. We're going to put Tsunoda onto neutral, see if he can kind of maintain his temperatures there. Jump on board here with Pourchaire, who's sitting nicely in 7th place. Alright, looks like we're going to have to go on and conserve just a little bit to get some of these temperatures down, but I'm fine with that. So keeping an eye on the weather. I think Tsunoda, we're going to risk it again. We're just going to immediately put him onto the dry tires once we get the shot to do that. We're going to put him back onto neutral. We're going to put Pourchaire onto neutral here. Gotta keep an eye on these temperatures. The green sector times is always good. We look fairly even on our tires compared to the field. Actually, maybe a little bit worse than some others. Sainz is doing a fantastic job with his tires. Alright, we got people already pitting. I think we're going to pit Tsunoda at the end of this lap, and then we will pit Pourchaire next time around. Gonna fill him up again. We got 27 laps remaining. Go safe on the pit stops again. Alright, we're going to see what Pourchaire does here. Alright, so we are behind Sainz, who's pitted. We're going to be one of the last people to pit here. We're going to put him onto the soft tire to see what we can do here with the fuel. We're going to add 5 extra onto what he's usually going to run. You're safe on the pit stop. Pourchaire is going to pit. He is going to come out here. He's going to be good to go. We're going to put both cars on to push here because we can afford to use some of that temperature up. And then once they kind of get on that edge, we're going to put them onto to neutral. So Tsunoda's on that edge. And All right, so there's Pourchaire, so he's on the edge now. All right, so we are 8th and 15th. Sonoda, little bit behind. Okay, looks like our tires are not cooling down as much as they were in practice, which is interesting. We'd have them on neutral and their tire temperatures would just drop tremendously. Watching here with the weather. Hopefully these other people need to pit before we get into a place of worry. But it looks like their wear is doing a lot better than we were expecting. Keeping an eye on the fuel here. Got an investigation here. What is that? Is that a drive-through for Norris? Yeah, it's a drive-through. Wow, so he's going to lose a bunch of spots there. Going to put him in reach of us. All right, we're going to have rain very, very soon. So we're going to have Sonoda conserve just a little bit here. We're going to see some preemptive strategies here. And we're going to have him go full attack here. And then I think potentially we can see him pit here at the end of this lap. And Lawson has just crashed out. All right, we're going to keep him pushing. I know we're obliterating the tires. But we're up our first sector, we're up our middle sector, and it's raining, so we're going to pit him on intermediates. I don't think we need to put fuel in it. No, we're good. He comes in, we're going to put him onto neutral, out of the box. We're going to pit Pourchaire as well. We're going to put him on intermediates. Fuel-wise, I think we're good. Alright, so Pourchaire, he's going to come in right behind Norris. So Norris is not pitting, so we hopefully are going to gain some time here. Alright, so we're right behind Norris. Hamilton is way far behind, so we've very easily got 8th place locked up here. Sonoda is already up into 10th place here, so he's doing a fantastic job with our waiting one extra lap to pit earlier in the race. So I guess we need to keep them on to neutral for the till the end here, unless we want to conserve Sonoda. Just get those temperatures down and then have him push here these final couple laps to see if we can get by Hamilton. Pourchaire's a little too far behind Norris. Doesn't seem to have the pace to be able to do anything. Horseman has crashed out. He was behind us. It's not something to worry about. Alright, fuel-wise, we're looking good here, so I feel comfortable kind of leaving the cars out. There's a safety car. We're going to ignore. We're going to go on this. We're going to see where Sonoda is. Sonoda's right behind Hamilton. He's got a decent gap back to Ocon, but I think the most important thing here is to back up and go low on the fuel stuff during this period. Okay. 3, 2, 1, pause. Go full attack. We're going to have Pourchaire go on to... Is that push? We're going to see if we can get Sonoda to get by Lewis Hamilton here. We're going to keep an eye on Pourchaire's temperatures. I don't think we're going to be able to get by Norris. We're going to keep letting him push. Alright, so it looks like Sonoda's having trouble with tire wear. Temperature. He's right behind Hamilton, and Hamilton's got barely any tires left. Alright, so we're on the final lap here. Yeah. Pourchaire does not have the opportunity to get by him here. We're going to put Sonoda onto push on the fuel. We're going to go medium. See if we can get by Lewis here. Lewis has got no tires left, but we've got too much of a gap here to even consider getting by him. So Pourchaire crosses the line. He's going to go 8th. And Sonoda is going to come out of the final corner. Going to get an unfortunate 10th place, but for everything that happened, that's a really good result. All right, so here are your results for Silverstone. We get Sonoda just barely in the points. Really good result, everything considered. Had him on that aggressive strategy, waited an extra lap. If we'd pitted him early, maybe we would have got by Hamilton there. O'Share gets his 4 points. We had a shot there at Lando, but the McLarens are a little bit faster than we are. Your podium for the race was Russell, Leclerc, and your winner was Carlos Sainz. So that's cool to see there, getting George not in victory lane. Yeah, good result for the season. All right, so looking at the Drivers' Championship, we still have the bottom 7 drivers who have not scored a points. We have 4 drivers that have driven for us that have scored points, but Sonoda moves up. He has 9 points total with his current 12th place positioning. Rocher now on 21 points, ahead of Ricardo. Sainz moves ahead of Verstappen. Leclerc moves ahead of Norris. Russell still has a humongous lead over the rest of the field with 13 races remaining. Your constructor standings after this race get extremely tight between the top two, 5 points separating Mercedes and Ferrari. McLaren a little bit behind them, and then Red Bull are just equally behind McLaren. The McLaren are from Ferrari and Mercedes. We are, stupid far behind Red Bull, but we're now starting to kind of establish ourselves in 5th place again. So hopefully we can kind of see the performance tick up, and we're able to fight with the Red Bulls and stuff throughout the season. Not to kind of potentially get ahead of them in the points, but just to kind of put us in a better spot for next year. So the team report screen, just wanted to show we have some sort of trait here with Yuki. He has a rival with Esteban Ocon, so it's interesting. So he will not join a team with Esteban Ocon on the team, so that's interesting. Leaving Silverstone, we are going to gain almost $1.5 million. So looking at the pit crew, I think I'm just going to stop showing this. There's really no reason for me to show this because it's kind of redundant. We're just going to kind of remove our fatigued members, kind of get the better stake percentage in, but we don't have any hires to choose from to kind of put some new blood into the line here. So I think we're going to find ourselves just kind of using safe pit stops throughout the rest of the year. All right, so we've gone through and we've rotated, but we still have a fairly decent amount of mistake percent chance. So that's going to be yeah, it's really going to force our hands just to kind of use that safe pit option for the rest of the year. All right, so we have some mail about stuff about George not winning. We got an interview with BBC Sport. Be surprised if this isn't about the Queen. It is not. Lando Norris's agent has been telling reporters all over town that you're interested in signing up as client next season. Is this true? Absolutely. He is open to discussing terms with us, and he is almost 5 stars, so that's pretty cool to see. From part improvement, we have our new engine that we just got in. It's got 5% reliability, so we really need to work on that. It's got a 1589 current, and it's 1669 cap, so that'll be pretty nice. We're going to focus on that, and I noticed the brakes are kind of low. Just want to get that past 80. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to design another new engine. Just to show why we are going with a new engine, we are still a little bit below average. Want to get up there with the McLarens and Red Bulls. We are currently behind the 2 Alpha teams. Every other part that we have is just above average, so that's pretty good to see. But we're going to move on to our new engine. All right, so this is our new engine that we're going to make. We have the risk level we're taking here. We have the risk level we're taking away. Adding the top speed plus 30. If we need to make another one, we can just add this top speed plus 50, and then hopefully it'll add some reliability. So once the thing is made, we can just put it straight on the car, which will be cool, and it'll have better performance. But that's something we'll worry about next time. Hopefully this engine kind of can take us above the rest of the competition pretty quickly. Yeah, this is going to be the new engine. We're going to build it. Won't be ready for, I think, middle of next episode, but it's going to cost us $2.175 million. All right, an interesting little news story here. Looks like Leclerc might not be retained next season, so I have not seen this before. This is interesting. So we might have a shot at getting Leclerc next season. All right, so looking ahead to Austria, we have the 1.4 1.493 million that we're going to get from the race. Tire selections at 15-10-10. We've applied the new engine to Sonoda's car. It's just a little bit under our current engine, but a little bit above the engine that was currently on Sonoda's car. And then the reliability is at like 62%, so hopefully that can make it through the weekend. But we're going to move on to practice from the Red Bull Ring. Okay, getting ready for practice, we're going to put Cher and Vettel in the car. Funny enough, just because of everything that happened last year and this year, we were actually able to put the same setups from the same drivers onto their cars for this session because they're who we raced last year. So not very important, but something kind of interesting. We're going to move on and skip through practice. Alright, so we had some trouble in practice getting the setups 100% correct, but we had the qualifying trim level 2, Swedish spots level 1. We have a couple things that we're going to have to do in qualifying with setups, but I don't think we're going to be in a bad spot. We got some stuff that's like kind of 97, but it's kind of in a difficult spot with the downforce levels and whatnot. But we're going to move on to the start of the session. So Pourchaire is going to start his lap here. We're going to see what Sonoda does as well. Sonoda's up his first sector, so is Pourchaire. Sonoda's up his middle, so is Pourchaire. Sonoda crosses the line. He's going to stay 10th, and Pourchaire is going to stay 8th. He split Hamilton. Alright, so getting ready for the race. We are going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to go with the medium tires. I feel like with it being 23 laps long, I feel like that's our best shot to at least guarantee that we can do this on a one-stop. If it's telling me that the tires can last 23 laps, I immediately think it's going to do about like 5 or 6 under that. So these are at about like 30. So hopefully we can get these to lap 23. Just do an easy stop in the middle. I could put Sonoda on the medium tire light-footed trait, which would guarantee us that, but I'd rather not take up one of our spots for something that's not a performance increase. So we are just going to go with these two. Setup-wise, you got a 97 on Sonoda. I like to get 98 or better. I think this is a 99 or 98. Driver strategy, we're going to push off the line. Not sure how I feel about going full attack off the line, but we'll see. We're going to move on to the starting grid. Alright, so your starting grid at Austria is Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Pierre Gasly, Teo Pourchaire, Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Robert Schwartzman, Esteban Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Dennis Hauger, Mick Schumacher, Guan Yu Zhou, and Oscar Piastri. Alright, so here are the 5 red lights. We've got a couple cars behind us on the soft compounded tires. I mean, super soft compound. But we are, in the majority of the people in the back, kind of staying on those medium tires. So hopefully us here on these, on the tires that we currently have on the mediums, we can actually take these longer than those out in front, because I think they're going to have to do a two-stop at this point. So we're going to let our cars just kind of push up here, hopefully get those tires right on the edge of overheating, and then we'll drop them down onto neutral. Alright, we're just on that edge now. We're going to put them on neutral. Hopefully the temperatures start to go down. So we got Pourchaire in 9th. We've got Sonoda in 9th. We got Pourchaire in 6th. We got Sonoda in 9th. Pourchaire is ahead of Gasly and Perez. We've got an Alpine right behind Sonoda, but I don't know if Alonso is going to have the pace to kind of hang with here. Alright, so we're starting to overheat our tires a little bit, so we're going to go on to conserve. And we're going to conserve, I think, down to about halfway on the temperature here as Max Verstappen crashes out of the race. That's huge for us. It's going to be a position pretty much for everyone in the field here. So we're going to hold, conserve, hopefully get it outside of that range. Perez is doing a fantastic job on his tires. I think he's just barely has less than we do on wear. So us conserving here seems like it's going to be a long-term thing. Seems like pushing off the line was not the way to go. Maybe we should have just stayed on neutral off the start, but yeah, it seems like practice notes don't really carry over all that much. Seems like we're now starting to firmly cement ourselves as in that front half where we don't really have to worry about those other cars, because you can see here Tsunoda's pulling away from Lawson even though he's on a softer compounded tire. All right, so we're about halfway through the run here. We have about 15% over 50, so we should have about 30% left by the end of this stint here, so we should be good to go with a one stop here. All right, Russell's right behind us. He's already done a stop. He's gonna have to do another stop later because I do not think he's gonna be able to stretch these soft compound tires all the way to the end of the race. We're gonna go one-time speed. We're gonna make it a little bit more difficult with him just by holding it on to neutral. So 4th and 6th, respectively. We are now one of the only cars up in the front part of the field, outside of maybe Lewis Hamilton, that have not done a pit stop already. George Russell just gets by us here. But he's going to have to pit at some point, so hopefully we can keep him behind us. We're going to come conserve out of the box, I think. That's going to be a good call there to kind of keep the tire temperatures there. Put them on neutral and maybe even let them push if they need to. But maybe not. It looks like the temperatures are kind of rising up maybe a little bit too much. Alright, so we're going to go on one-time speed here. We're going to put them both on to conserve here. Alright, so we're doing an awesome job here, 4th and 6th. That's amazing. Hamilton's going to have to pit pretty soon. Doesn't look like he might be able to make it here if he goes onto a medium set of tires, but he doesn't. Alright, so we're pushing here. We got 10 laps of fuel left. So we just crossed over the mark here to where we can comfortably make it to the end. We're going to put them onto neutral. We're going to just put actually Pourchaire onto neutral here. We're going to let him go maybe one more lap, and then we're going to pit him back on the mediums. Alright, so we're going to have him push this in this lap. Pit. He's going to put on a brand new set of medium tires. We're going to put in, how many laps do you have left leaving the pits? We're going to give him 25, let's give him 26 laps of fuel. Safe on the pit stop. He'll be good to go. We're going to have Tsunoda go maybe a lap or two extra. I think we'll actually have Tsunoda pit next time by. Alright, so once Pourchaire is in, we're going to have Tsunoda go push. Alright, now Tsunoda's on push. We're going to push him onto medium tires. We're going to give him 25 laps of fuel. Give him a safe pit stop. See where Pourchaire comes out. I think Pourchaire had an error on his pit stop. We're going to have him actually conserve out of the box. I forgot that's what we were doing. So we're going to try to catch Tsunoda right before he goes into his box as well to put him on to conserve. So we're going to put him on one times here, see if we can catch it. No, we do not. Alright, so we're going to fast forward through here. He does a mistake-free pit stop. He's going to go conserve here. We're going to keep Pourchaire on conserve as well. So we got 47 seconds back. So I don't think we're going to get any of the top three, which is unfortunate. Haven't had a podium yet. Alright, so Gasly's catching Pourchaire here. I think we're just going to let him get close, but then once he gets super close, we're going to put him onto neutral. Conserve on these tires. Keep them underneath of us. Temperature's super finicky in this game. Very hard to manage at times. Alright, so give this one more lap here. I don't think Gasly's going to have a shot here. Once he's close enough, which he'd be right now, we're going to put him onto neutral. We're going to also put Tsunoda on neutral. Tsunoda is in 9th. He's got a comfortable gap here, so we should be in the top 9 fairly easily by the end of this race. So we can't really push on these tires either. Looks like Tsunoda's maybe a little bit more aggressive on his tires as well. Should have Gasly pitting in pretty soon. Well as some of the others ahead of us. Looks like Russell's already pitted, so Russell's going to make it to the end of the race. Goes Gasly. Gasly's pitting in. He's going to come out about 5 seconds behind Tsunoda. I think we're going to get ahead of Perez here, maybe. We do. But I don't think we're going to be able to hold him back. Yeah, that Red Bull looks extremely quick. Just got to keep our fingers crossed here that maybe we can do something special here in these final couple laps. Looks like Tsunoda, we're going to have to drop down onto conserve for a little bit. Actually, we're going to have him back up. We're going to have Pourchaire hold here on conserve. We're going to keep an eye on Tsunoda. And once Perez gets by, if he does... Alright, so once Tsunoda gets really close here, we're going to have him go on to push. We're going to try to remember that he's on that. Pourchaire has got him breathing all over his neck here. We're going to put him back on the neutral. Alright, Tsunoda able to gap a little bit. Okay, so Perez gets by Pourchaire here. Are we able to fight back? Doesn't look like it. That's unfortunate. Alright, so we need to put him on a conserve now. We're going to keep an eye here on Tsunoda. Got 3 laps remaining. 2 laps remaining. Right, they're starting the final lap. We're going to put Tsunoda on to push. And I think we're good with Pourchaire. Tsunoda's actually going to gain some time here, but we're going to cross the line and we're going to go 6th and 7th. Right, so following the Austrian Grand Prix, Verstappen crashed out. That pretty much moved everyone up a spot. That gave us our a very good haul of points over our competitors. Your points were Alonso, Hamilton, Gasly. We got 6th and 7th, 14 points total. Then you got Perez, Norris, and then your podium, kind of swinging the tide in the Constructors' Championship, was George Russell, Carlos Sainz, and your winner, Charles Leclerc. From the Drivers' Championship, we have the bottom 7 that are still kind of all over each other. Hulkenberg moving up with his average finish moving up. Alonso now on 3 points on the year. Vettel stays where he is. Tsunoda moves up a spot, now ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So we have the final 3 places in the driver's standings before we kind of get into the rest of the field. Top of the board here, though, Leclerc kind of moves in a little bit on George's lead here, but George's lead is so significant, you're going to need him to kind of make some serious mistakes here, maybe even DNF out of a race and have Leclerc, win and get the fastest lap on a couple occasions. So, yeah, it's not so tight Drivers' Championship, but hopefully we can see Leclerc kind of chip away at it for the rest of the year. Looking at the Teams' Championship, Ferrari now have a 22-point lead over Mercedes. Mercedes are very much a one-horse team at the moment, with one very strong horse. Yeah, the constructors at the top, very tight. McLaren, if Mercedes kind of start to falter here, might have a shot of getting by Mercedes with kind of Lewis being in or around that 10th place position. We now have a decent lead over AlphaTauri, more than we did last weekend, adding 14 to that total over AlphaTauri. Got a tight battle here between AlphaTauri, Alpine. They're, fighting for scraps of points. Alfa Romeo can get, a point here or there. And then Aston and Haas are kind of in no man's land, unable to get any points at all. So, yeah, it seems like we have a fairly front-heavy grid at the moment. All right, so leaving Austria, we're going to have $1.469 million into the bank. Those interested, here are your Formula 2 results. We have Ralph Boschung, Yuri Vips, and Will Stevens on the podium. I'm going to scroll through here, kind of show you the rest of these results here. Nick Tandy, Giovinazzi, still the 2 title contenders at the moment. You can still swing it and have some other drivers get up there like Yuri Vips, who was on the podium. But, we've kind of seen these drivers kind of stay up front and kind of stay there throughout the season. Very, very close battle from third on back all the way to there. Just a good result here or there might propel somebody up a position or two, all the way down until you get to about Boluk Bassi, and Robert Kubica, where they're kind of faltering as the teams are having troubles. Speaking of teams, High Tech now are on top of the board with their result with Yuri Vips and whoever their other driver is that I forgot. Van Amersfoort and Trident are now tied. Those are the three horses kind of fighting for the top of the table there. You got Carlin, Dams, Virtuosi, MP, Prema, and ART all in close proximity of one another. ART not close to Carlin, but there's a definite path for them to just have a couple good results and kind of steadily move up the ladder. Campos and Charouz at the bottom seems like they're good enough to get some points, but outside of that, don't really know what they're doing. All right, so that concludes today's episode. We added to the win total for other drivers. We got Leclerc and Sainz getting their first victories. Ferrari getting 2 total. Russell's still very dominant, but maybe we're kind of seeing a swing in the direction of the Ferraris. We had been complaining at the beginning of the year, kind of feeling like we were a little bit behind, but now I feel like we've kind of regained our momentum, and hopefully we can steadily stay in that 5th place position through these final 11 races, and potentially find ourselves in a position to where, we can get a podium. I don't think a win's on the cards, but I think definitely a podium is on the cards if we have everything kind of go our way. Maybe we can find ourselves maybe getting up there with I feel like the McLarens are closer to us in speed. I feel like the Red Bulls are very hit or miss. They have a lot of retirements. But if we can get up and fight one of those drivers or one of those teams consistently on pace, I know we're fighting Hamilton, but I don't feel like that's indicative of our pace as a team. I think that's kind of showing the regression of Lewis's character in the game. Yeah, so hopefully we can get up there fighting those top teams a little bit better. We've kind of extended that gap of the cars behind us performance-wise, and yeah, I don't think we're going to find ourselves in many positions throughout the rest of the year like we did at the beginning of the year where we were kind of worried about getting points. But if you liked today's episode, like, comment, subscribe, all that dumb YouTube stuff, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.